Hello, everyone, and welcome to Frivolous and Frugal Knitting. It's a pleasure to meet you and to invite you to our very first podcast. This is a podcast from two sisters who love to knit to make their hearts happy, and who want to share their frivolous and frugal flair with you in their fiber adventure. So if this is your first time, welcome aboard.
It's everybody's first time.
It is. We're trying to wing it. So sorry. Anyway, we're glad you're here with us. Let's kick it off, Dawn, and we're going to introduce ourselves. So go ahead.
I'm Dawn, currently living in Green Bay, Wisconsin with my husband and my son.
And I'm Penny, and I live in Ohio with my husband, and we have 5 children, and we're sisters. We're numbers 1
and 4
of 8. So it's a pleasure to meet you.
And I'm frivolous.
And I'm frugal. And really, we're going to win your hearts toward frugality. And in her frivolity, I'm sure you're going to understand and enjoy her as well. So Dawn, what should we get started with?
Well, how about what's on our needles?
That sounds like a great plan.
So I can go first. I am doing the current mystery knit along with Casapinka. And I'm going to look at the notes to make sure I get it right. It's called the Crown Wools. And let me start at this end. She releases 2 clues a week. So this first purple was clue 1. And you can see that then the gray is clue 2. You sure could pick as many colors as you want. I'm working with a Miss Babs gradient kit where there will be 6 different purples starting at dark and going lighter. And then the gray gradients are light going, did I say that right? Light going darker. So it's a 6-week mystery knit along. And currently the little yarn shop that I attend, which is Magpie's Cottage in Sheboygan Falls, Wisconsin, we do this as part of our Thursday night summer knit alongs. And you know what? I am showing you the wrong side. I am so talented. It's pathetic. Okay. So if you wanted to see what the right side is supposed to look like.
That's the best way to hold the secret sauce.
And you can see that each of the clues is a different stitch pattern. And so far it has been interesting to try the different stitch patterns. And because it's a mystery knit along, sometimes when you're first starting out, it's a little difficult to know if you're doing the right thing, because it takes a few rows, as you know, to get the pattern to see. And again, Miss Babs yarn and the current or the exact gradient kit will be included in our show notes, where you can directly link to her website if you wish. What's on your needles?
Actually, mine is a shawl that I'm doing at my little knit shop. I attend Yarn Craven in Ohio, which is where I am from. And by the way, Dawn is from Wisconsin and I'm from Iowa, so we travel every month to record our podcasts. I am doing the shawl pattern Snowflakes and Icicles. And this is by Susan Lazenby. And you can find that link in our show notes where you'll find everything that we talk about today. And it is knit in the Behind the Pines Indie Dyed Wool. This is dyed by Bobby, and she's a local to our area. It has a little bit of stellina, 10% stellina, 10% cashmere, and then 80% merino. This is part of our Behind the Pines or Pine Club yarn of the month. And let me just show you the back of the card. We get a different yarn every month, and this was December's. So as you can see, I just started. It's a small shawl. Should be done maybe within the next year and a half. If I can be honest.
That may not include blocking.
Or tucking in the ends, right?
Amen. That's right.
And what else do you have on your needles?
Well, I can't remember what I did with it. Okay. Oh. Okay.
As you can
you talk.
Okay. I'll tell you what else is on my shawls, or on my needles. I am also knitting bank head hats for all the males in our family. And again, this is a very common pattern that you find on Ravelry. It's free. And it is actually by Susie Gurley, or Gurley. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce her name. Gorley?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
That's pretty good since I'm the phonics teacher.
I am not.
Thank you very much. Anyway, I believe this is hat number 13 for me. I can't remember. But
It's got to be about that, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it's just done in Cascade 220 Superwash Merino and washes up delightfully well. So that's the second item I have on my needles. What about you? She still can't find what she's looking for.
I am doing the Evanesce shawl by Susie White. Now, Susie is part of the audio podcast, The Prairie Girls, Knit and Spin.
Yes.
But let's see if I can see this. We had the pleasure of meeting Susie and Danny both when we attended the Zombie Knitpocalypse last month in Rochester. And I am actually doing it as you see it there. Same color, same yarn. The yarn that was selected was from the Suburban Stitcher. Let's see if I can get the glare off that. Ooh, there we go, that's better. And I've only done one color, or one...
Ooh, Dawn. I like that.
Yeah, so those colors are stunning. And we got to actually see this shawl done when we were at the Zombie Knitpocalypse, and we got to try it on, and Susie was very gracious
Absolutely.
to allow us to do that. So it'll obviously look much better when it's blocked out, but I've just done one of the repeats, and I think there's 3. So
can I just say something a
Yeah.
little bit about Susie, Miss Susie and Miss Danny?
Yeah.
Absolutely delightful, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Very personable, very approachable. Actually flattered us in the fact that they took time to chat with us and get
Absolutely.
to know us. So
Yeah.
if you ever happen to have the opportunity to listen to their podcast, please do. And even drop them a note in the line and tell them that you appreciate what they have to offer.
And I listen through iTunes. I don't know what
There
you
you
listen
go.
through.
iTunes.
So. All right, anything else on your
Cool.
needles?
Yes, I have one more item on my needles. This is a big item, and many of you are probably familiar with the Knit Pearl Hunter. I am a bit behind the Magpie's knit along. I was doing the knit along with Magpie and kind of got behind, but this is her building with lace wrap, and it's so long we can't show it all on the screen, but I'm doing it in Riley by Haiku in the ink colorway, and I have all of the panels completed, and I just started my beaded applied border using a size
Yeah,
6.
can you get up to that?
Yeah, here, I can keep going. So there are 9 separate panels, and as you can see, it's a provisional cast on, so I will add that border after I complete the one I just started on the other end. So that should be finished within the week, I'm thinking, and hopefully blocked. So by next month, you should be able to see all of that wrap.
That is spectacular.
Beautiful. And let me just show you the Riley ball band. I will say that the silk content and the linen content make it very tactily pleasing. Don't you agree?
Yes, a little splitty.
It is splitty. That's
splitty
my
at times.
only
Yeah.
my only challenge with it. And I am using the Chioegu needles, so they're a bit sharper to help me avoid that splitting. Oh, no, yeah, I still am. So anyway, that's the last item on my needles. What about you?
I bet you have a pair of socks. Or
I
not.
do have a pair of socks, but I haven't started them because I'm just learning how to do toe up and that fish lips kiss heel.
Yes, so I just finished it today. Haven't even tucked in the end. This is a vanilla latte sock pattern, which is a free download on Ravelry. And this yarn is by Show Me Yarns. They were a vendor at the Zombie Knitpocalypse. And this was a colorway dyed specifically for ZK. So the 2 balls, 50-gram balls that you get, are going to be the same colors but different patterns to represent the 2 teams that they use at ZK. And I use the Fish Lips Kiss, and I use a rounded toe too, and that's all linked on my project notes if you're interested in the exact patterns. And then I just did a 2x2 rib for like 20 rows up top on a US size 1. It's just fun colors, huh?
I agree. I like
and
it.
I think the camera's showing pretty true
I think
to
it
color.
is too.
So
Fun. They're just a perky sock. I
yeah, how fun. Now, one done. The other one will be done before we go to ZK next year. At least we had to make it.
Oh,
We
don't
took
make
an
promises.
Oath. That's right, we took an oath.
Oh, we did take an oath, didn't we?
Thank you,
Okay.
Amy Schultze. We took the oath that all of our yarn that we purchased at ZK will be knit up before we go back next year.
I think I was in the bathroom when they took the oath. So please don't hold me to that.
Yeah, okay.
Not at my rate of progress.
good. How about some
so-
finished projects? Do you
Right.
have one?
I do. And our finished projects are under the show notes, our weight loss. So as sisters, we're constantly talking about our weight and alliteration. So when we talk about weight loss, we're going to talk about fiber that is off of our needles or projects that we finished or even maybe that we've given away. So for instance, if there have been giveaways or we're knitting for charity, that would also come in this category. So I believe, oh, that's your pile, isn't it? Oh my goodness.
Okay, I'll start
Thank
and you
you.
can go next. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a pair of socks by Helen Stewart. They were called the Apple Blossom socks. This was a paid for pattern, and I believe it was a separate pattern. It wasn't part of any club. And this yarn is from Leading Men Fiber Arts. It is in their fingering weight, and I believe it's a BFL. It might have been my first BFL. 80% BFL, 20% nylon. And the colorway is I Only Have Eyes for You.
Aww.
You being EWE.
Oh, don't
sweet.
you love it?
Boy,
It's a
Steve and Andy
homophone.
from Leading Men's are brilliant dyers. So I do have two done.
Very personable as well,
Yep, very
might we say.
approachable. And great customer service. So these were fun. Probably the first time I've ever done this type of a pattern. Yeah, very pleased with that. So again, Helen Stewart's Apple Blossom socks.
Well, and I finished a pair of socks too, Dawn. Mine are the blueberry waffle socks.
Oh, that
and,
looks
and I
nice.
wanted to share with our viewers, I have only done traditional heel flaps and gussets
Oh, yeah.
and wedge toes. And I've knit almost close to 200 pair of socks. And so I'm trying to broaden my horizons. So this is a sock knit in Patton's Croy Sock FX. And it is just delightful workhorse
Pretty
yarn.
colors.
It is pretty colors. It is the colorway, I think, I can't remember the actual name of that colorway. It's in our show notes. You can see it there. So I just finished these. I haven't tucked in my ends, but both are finished. I have a really long foot. Don't
Okay,
I?
it took you 200 pair of socks to try a different pattern.
Hey, listen, I'm frugal. My time is efficient. Why would I try something new? If the wheel isn't broken, don't fix it.
Or you're a slow learner. I'm not quite sure which one there.
I'm going to say that I resonate more with the first option.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, this is my Suburban Wrap. It is a pattern by
Dawn.
Johi Locatelli. You guys, it may be one of the prettiest things
I think it is.
I've ever knit. So,
Gorgeous.
it's called the Suburban Wrap, I think, because when Johi designed it, I talk like she's my friend. Okay, when she designed it, she used yarn from the Suburban Stitcher, Diane from the Suburban Stitcher. This yarn I purchased from Backyard Fibers at Stitches Midwest a year ago. One of my knitting colleagues is Amy Schultze. She's a brilliant knitter. And she encouraged me to buy these yarns, which is not my colorways at all. But it just turned out stunning.
It
so a
does.
long rectangular shape. I just thought it was spectacular.
It is. And you did a very nice job. You do, though. You're a nice
You know,
knitter.
Amy has taught me to block this snot out of. She probably didn't use the word snot. She probably used a different word.
Oh, she wouldn't.
Yeah, so I've gotten pretty aggressive with blocking. So.
Well, I think it pulls out it really opens up
Yeah.
the lace.
And Amy and I just kind of did this knit along, just the two of us. She was doing hers out of Hedgehog, which was spectacular too. All right, your
Cool.
next one.
Now, I did mention earlier that I've been knitting bankhead hats. These are just two of the bankheads that I've been knitting. These were I believe these were the men's medium, which is a cast on of 90 stitches in Cascade 220 superwash. I knit these on a US size 7. I do a 3-inch brim, and then I do about a 3.5 to a 4-inch body of the hat. Has an 8-inch decrease. Very simple, easy to memorize, wonderful for on the go.
Not an 8-inch decrease.
Eight row. Did I say 8?
Okay, so public education. No, I will not comment.
Please don't.
Her boys and husband are really good about helping her determine length. So if some of them want them longer, so they go and cover their ears. Some of them not so much. So she just designs them specifically for each of the members according to what they want.
And
And every year they get a hat, by the way.
And I do the same pattern every year for efficiency purposes. So one year it was the sockhead hat. This year, I know what you're going to say, and don't you dare.
And she
This
uses free patterns.
I do purchase some. Oh my goodness. You're not even fair, but that's okay. I can say this too. We have a couple boys who are in the armed services, and they can wear this with their uniforms. So if you're knitting for a loved one or any service member, a solid black stocking cap is accessible.
Oh, that's good to know. I didn't realize that. All right, my next one. Do you want to scroll down? Make sure I get this one right.
Yes.
Oh, this is the Junction Shawl. Miss Chris at our local knitting store did this, and I really have bad FOMO, really bad. So I'm always fearful that somebody's going to knit a cool pattern and I'm not going to have time to do it. So right now, whatever she knits, I seem to copy. This was a pattern by
it's right here.
Tetnia or Tutra. I'm not sure how to do that.
Tetiana,
probably. Thank you.
Truda.
I failed linguistics, so therefore I am no longer a linguistics teacher. I teach paramedics, so stop breathing, got you covered. Okay.
Don't ask me to spell what I'm doing.
Like I had to look up how to spell frivolous. That's about it. Yeah. So this is Madtosh.
Oh my goodness.
Stormborn, I think, is the darker color, and the lighter color
I've got to do
was
this one.
Arctic. It was a lovely gift from my friend Miss Lori. Yeah, isn't it just was so pretty when Chris was knitting it?
I agree.
And you know what was cool? When I put it on Ravelry, the designer sent me a nice little email to say thank you for choosing my pattern.
Did she really?
Yeah, it was either there or Instagram, so how fun is that? Which reminds me, on Instagram and Ravelry, I'm Dawn Marine Knits.
And I am the Knitting Apron Lady on Instagram and the Apron Lady on Ravelry. And there's a reason for that. I like to wear aprons. All right, my last finished item was what was a knit-along at one point, or was going to be, and it is Joji Locatelli's 3-color cashmere
Look at this.
shawl. And this is in Leading Men Fiber Arts. And I have to tell you, it's delectable. I don't remember the base name. I forgot our ball bands. Oh, we forgot to tell you, because we do not live next to one another, we will always film on location. So right now we're in a Hampton Inn.
In Indiana.
In Indiana. So I forgot my ball bands. But
And you forgot to tuck in.
Hey, wait a minute.
Okay, before you give this away. Okay, so you guys, this is for her. She thinks this is frivolous.
It is.
That there's this much extra yarn.
I play yarn chicken with everything I knit. And actually, I will tuck this in.
Oh my goodness, look at that. It's such a waste. So I get nervous when I have less than 20 grams, so I go online and order another skein. She plays like if she has less than 2 inches, she's...
Oh, yes.
Or more than 2 inches, she thinks she's wasting.
I have to find a way to use it. But you know, this, don't you just love this
I'm going to get all these in my Christmas card.
Yes, you are. Along with some bread wrapper ties. Okay, so anyway, yeah.
This pattern, this is one of the first shawls I ever did. It is a spectacular pattern. And you know what? This pink is stunning.
Doesn't it pop?
It does.
And again, very nice fiber to work with. I think this would be a good shawl for beginners or someone who wants to play with lace.
Adventurous beginner.
Yeah.
Is that such a category? If not, I just made it up.
You did.
Right.
Okay, we'll give that intellectual.
I always figure if we make up an answer fast enough, nobody will know if it's a truth or not truth. Okay, that is amazing.
All right, thank you.
The last thing.
Oh.
Well, you know what? Do we talk about the sock machine yet, or should we wait?
No, we haven't talked about that, but you can certainly talk about it right now.
So, this summer I purchased a Gearhart Speedster, Gearhart Urlacher Speedster hand cranked sock machine. And I practice an hour a day. Okay, so I started in June. This is August. I now have things that resemble socks, and it's just been in the recent past.
Isn't that gorgeous?
So this is by Regia. It's the Arnie and Carlos Perfect. So if you've not worked with that yarn, it starts up here with the blue, and you just knit until you get down here to this blue, and that's your clue to start your heel. So you do whatever heel you want, and then you just keep knitting until you need to decrease at the toe. So I'm not quite, this thing right here, you see, I'm not good at the toe yet, Kitchenering it. Because with the circular sock machine, you Kitchener on the purl side.
Oh.
It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah. And then I've knit some other socks, and it's amazing. Some of them aren't the same size. 2 socks, not the same size. 2 socks, not the same tension. But there are several of us at the knit shop who have purchased that, and so we're working together to try to learn.
I think that's cool. Don't you love the local knit shop for that kind of camaraderie and community?
You can knit at home, no problem. But we both have had the great opportunity to find yarn shops that have made us part of their community. And so you go there not only to knit, but you realize that they're your sounding boards. You can confide in them. You can laugh with them.
Absolutely.
And boy, do we laugh. Yeah, it's amazing. So
the wonderful world of knitters.
I think that's it. Hopefully, I bought the circular sock machine because I have so much stash. Okay, so frivolous, stash. Frugal, not so much stash. But I have so much sock yarn, I don't think I could knit it in a lifetime. Because as you can tell by this podcast, I'm 17, soon to turn 18. And if that were true, I still would have too much yarn for a lifetime.
Yes, you would.
Okay.
And you find nothing wrong with that. Anyway.
I find nothing wrong with that.
Oh, my goodness.
We'll talk about more in future podcasts, but Penny doesn't add any bling to her yarn. She doesn't use stitch markers. She doesn't use progress keepers. Blah, blah, blah.
Hence, look at the top she's wearing. You really do need to.
I do. Oh, here.
She's got
some bling.
Bling.
Oh, bling.
Yes, bling.
Where's yours?
I don't have bling. I have a band.
Okay, and just for the record, this is not real. I know. $20 Facebook. Okay.
Anyway, we digress, but we're going to move forward. We have to tell you that we are in Indiana. We already said that. So today, Dawn and I visited the Simply Sock Company brick and mortar shop.
Unbelievable people.
Oh my goodness. If you have never been there, you really need to make a trip to Fort Wayne, Indiana. They have 2 yarn shops in town. One Knitting on Broadway, the other Simply Sock Company. And I don't know about you, Dawn, but I walked in there and I was overwhelmed. Right away. So what did you think? What were your first impressions?
We'll try to, if we can figure out how to drop a video in here. It is an old post office that they have purchased, and the front part of a post office, the one you would typically walk into, they have made their warehouse. And it is shelves and shelves, very pretty shelves too, of all the designer yarns you could think of. I'm going to forget some, but definitely the full array of Madtosh or Madelintosh, Malabrigo, Life in the Long Grass, that Irish yarn that I just love. They just started carrying, we're not sure how to pronounce it, Q-I-N-G, if that's King. Blue Moon, Socks That Rock. They had...
they had
Spun
Hedgehog.
Right Round. Lots of Hedgehog. Oh, you guys, it's amazing.
Lorna's Lace.
Oh, yes, lots of Lorna's Lace. We're going to forget some. They also dye their own yarn called Post, P-O-S-T-E, as a tribute to the post office that they're in. They also dye in the back half. And they told us it was okay for us to mention.
Absolutely. So, and I will tell you, cordial. Very cordial.
Yeah, helpful, but not overbearing. If you need a place for a girls' weekend for knitting and you're close at all to Fort Wayne, this would be a great place. And I'm amazed that I lived here for a while after I first got married, and must not have been a knitter then, because I have no
I don't think you were.
Recollection of that, which is such a bummer.
I know.
Yeah, amazing. So if we can figure out how to put the video in, we'll add it in, and if not, then we might try to figure something else out.
And we will definitely put their website up in the show notes, and we would encourage you to peruse their online shop. Please support your local yarn shops first, but if you're looking for something specific.
It was just an amazing inventory, and because they're only open 1 day a week, they do the majority of their business online, but they've made their inventory or their warehouse presentable to come in and knit. And it was fun to meet other knitters there too, who were just as excited and geeked out as we were.
From out of state,
all from out of state. Yeah,
that was fun.
Wow.
So next on our agenda is going to be what's next. What's the next up-and-coming thing or project, Dawn? So what were you and the ladies at Magpies talking about, chirping about?
Well, actually, we were talking about you, but we can't talk about that right now because my Christmas present would be next to nothing then.
That's exactly right. You're cruising as it is.
Well, as many of you know, Melanie Berg, who is a designer we both love and have knit quite a few shawls from, has released her first book called Shawls. Now, it is released and been sent out to people who pre-ordered, so I think it's to arrive in our mailboxes this week. I believe 15 shawl patterns are in that book, and Penny said to me one night on the phone, wouldn't it be fun to knit our way through that book?
I think so.
So, not sure what that's going to look like. I don't know if we'll pick the same shawl and do it. We've knit some of the shawls already that are in there. But we thought it'd be fun to do maybe a 2-year knit along. I think 15 shawls is a lot for 1 year. At least for me, it would be a lot for 1 year. And so...
do you think it would be good to ask others what would work for them? So we would like to sponsor a knit along on the podcast as well, and we'll have prizes. I don't think we can pick... Okay. Yes, everyone will get a bread wrapper closure, and we'll tell you why those are important in the world of knitting. Anyway, Dawn, go ahead and share with us what you think would work for you. Would one a month be too much? Can we piggyback on the Big Bad Burgalong?
I don't know, or do something like that. It'll just be interesting to see what other podcasters are going to do.
Anyway.
Which reminds us, as of today, we have a Ravelry group page. So if you go into the groups tab and type in Frivolous and Frugal Podcast, you should see us. And please hit subscribe. And we're very open to suggestions. We're not people who get our feelings hurt very easily. And we're just interested to see what people would like from us. We know there's lots of podcasts out there, so we appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
The other thing is we both are doing the Helen Stewart Curious Handmade Shawl Society. So we're on shawl number 3. Now, up to date, I've only knit... that's the shawl that's missing.
Oh, let me go get it. No, you keep chatting, and I will find it.
So her first shawl I did not do. Her second shawl I did do. It's called Ivy Over the Wall. And I forgot. Oh.
It is stunning.
You guys, it is...
Beautiful.
Prettier. 3 Irish girls. I bought this yarn at Zombie Knitpocalypse as well. This is their fall colorway. So you can see it's a variegated yarn here. That's called Trickery. The majority of this is in a color called Hemlock. And
the depth of this tonal.
It is. I love it in the solids.
And we have seen online, people have used speckles on this, and I think we lose the pattern in that, but if you knit it in a solid...
There's some beautiful solids out there if you want to look under project pages. So Ivy Over the Wall by Helen Stewart. This is the third one, right?
Yes.
This is the second one. The third one just released called the Wick Shawl.
Oh, you're right.
I don't know if I'm going to knit that one because at our little yarn shop we do a 6-month, 8-month mystery, what we call Mystery Shawl Mania. Now, this is at Magpie's Cottage in Sheboygan Falls. And Amy Schultze is teaching a class where a shawl releases every other month. And she's going to make her first announcement tomorrow of what that is. So it's just a lot of shawls to knit. And both Penny and I teach. And so our summers are about to come to an end as far as our ability to have a lot of extra teaching time. They frown on me teaching and lecturing and knitting at the same time.
I can't get it either. I don't know. When really?
Let up, people. Give up the ghost. So when I'm in a meeting and it's not going well, they tell me to shut up and knit.
Imagine that.
I know. It hurts my feelings. Oh, yeah. So that's the other thing. And then Penny belongs to Helen Stewart's Sock Society, where a sock releases every other month.
Yes.
So
we're on our third pattern.
And then trying to get Christmas knitting done.
I know.
So I think what's in the future is going to be shawls, socks, hats, Christmas gifts. So
for us, for sure. Also, what we would like to include in our podcast is what's going on, what's in. in quotations. We have...
We don't know.
No, we have no clue. We have a niece who's in college who's a knitter, and we are going to be interviewing her, getting her input. We're going to see what's being worn on our college campuses, on our school campuses, in our local communities. We're also going to take input from you all. What is in your neck of the woods? I'm in Ohio. Dawn is in Wisconsin. Are we wearing different things? Are certain colors a pattern or a trend?
We definitely live in cold climates, so shawls are very much part of what I wear every day to school. Now, we are both postmenopausal, which, not that we share these secrets very often, but heating adjustments may be an issue. So what I love about shawls is if I'm having a hot flash, I can loosen it.
Absolutely.
And if I'm cold, I can tighten it. And we could probably wear shawls 9 months.
Oh, easily, I think.
Don't you think?
Oh, yeah,
of the year?
easily.
And then if you did the smaller shawls or the shawlettes or more of a cotton linen. So,
Definitely. I thought of one other thing. If anyone is looking for something to do next week, we have the I-75 yarn crawl going on right now, which means yarn shops in Michigan, Ohio, and Kentucky all along I-75 are in a 6-day yarn crawl. There's a passport for it and gifts. But I'll tell you, if you get online and you're traveling, you can find yarn shops along the way. So I would really encourage you to do that too.
Have fun.
Absolutely.
So the reason we have been encouraged to start this podcast is our siblings who do not knit do think it's funny when we talk about how Penny is frugal and I am not. And so we thought every podcast we would come up with one thing and tell you if you are frugal, tight budget, cheap.
No, there's a difference between frugal and cheap, and I won't even take offense. Oh my goodness.
So we thought this month we would talk about project bags. So me being on the frivolous side, of course, think that every project needs to have its own project bag. And do you know what we did?
You have quite an array, friend.
Yes. Okay, hold on. Okay, so one of these days we'll be organized or not. So like this is a project bag from the Fat Squirrel.
It's cute.
Pretty. Right? Everybody needs 2 or 10.
No.
Yes. Okay. And I've become like a yarn bag snob, a project bag snob. So someday I'll talk about that. Okay. Therapy has been helping. Okay. Now this is a project bag that Joanne Kiley from Magpie's Cottage that we've talked a lot about. When we signed up for the last Mystery Shawl Mania, we all got one of these as a gift. Yeah, look at nice tabs, shawl size, great colors.
Cloth handle,
amazing. And I thought I had an Erin Lane bag, did I?
You did somewhere, Dawn.
Oh well. So I buy bags, and then of course all the pins to go on the bags, of course.
Oh,
so
yes.
You have to wait and see what Penny uses because this is the frugal tip of the millennium.
Now listen, I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Okay, it's meant to be a compliment.
It is not if you're laughing. Many of us are on a tight budget, or we have a fixed amount of discretionary spending. Therefore, we have to make the best use of what we have. So I like to use my money for yarn. And by the way, if you don't have to do that, buy all the project bags you want. But if you don't have that kind of money, I recommend Ziploc bags.
We can't even say that brand name.
Okay, well, plastic closure bags, because you can label them and you can clearly see the project that is in it. Dawn.
In this time of the year with all the back to school
on Ziplocs. Okay.
Buy one, get 16 free.
And I just to tell you. Yes.
You got to show this because they'll never believe it.
Okay, but wait a minute. Before I do that, I have another bag that I think many people forget about.
This is the splurge. Now hold on.
At Magpie's Cottage, this is what Miss Joanne puts your purchases in. These plastic bags are wonderful. They have a drawstring top like many of your project bags. You can see the yarn. You know exactly what's in it, Dawn.
And I put an extra one in there for you just because. Just because I love you so much, and who doesn't need another one?
Your personal belonging bags from the hospital also work well, and they have your name on them.
She gave me something today in her hospital bag.
It does have my name, so if you lose it, it's coming to me. Okay. However, I must say that Miss Joanne from Magpie's Cottage really surprised me, and those of us who went to ZK with a project bag. This is my very first project bag. And in honor of Miss Joanne, inside is the pattern for the Sheboygan shawl, which was designed by Miss Joanne, and my yarn to get started. So I guess I'm going to learn how to use a project bag.
And you guys, you need to do that Sheboygan shawl. It is a spectacular two-color shawl.
It is.
Yeah, so, and that's available for purchase on Ravelry.
Yep, and it's linked in our show notes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think, Dawn, we've come to the end of our program. Except for your sock machine.
I talked about it already.
Oh, you don't want to talk about
I'm
anything
going to call
else?
my sock machine Lizzie.
I was going to say, you have to introduce her so that when we're talking about her, everyone knows. I can't think of anything else other than in our Ravelry group, if you have questions for us or you have suggested topics or ideas, please put that in What's on Your Mind. That will be the name of that thread. We'll be moderating it, so definitely don't hesitate to do that.
And we will eventually probably get email addresses and things that we'll keep you updated on, but I'm sure that'll come with the learning curve of doing a podcast. We hope to podcast about once a month. We tend to see each other probably, I'd say probably 6 times a year, at least more, at least. And so the other months we'll just have to figure out ways. Like we'd love to go see our niece who's in Chicago for college. So maybe we'll go there for a weekend and then podcast. And we would interview her.
Absolutely.
Miss Brianna. So.
Yes.
Okay.
I can't think of anything else.
All right. Until next time, insert catchy phrase.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Go ahead.